I'm going to confirm.
2, 1. All right. Apologies, everyone. I'm hoping we're live.
We are live.
Are we live? 1,
Yeah.
1.
Okay.
All right. Apologies, everyone. I'm hoping we're live. All right. Apologies, everyone. I'm hoping we're live.
Oh gosh.
Now, are we live?
We are live.
Everyone, are we live? 1.
Okay.
Okay, that was very chaotic. My apologies. I think that was coming from my end. I had the tabs open. Okay, we should be good to go now, please. Sorry about those technical issues, everyone. I think we're ready to go. Kira, why don't you take it away?
Thanks so much, Marike. Yeah, awesome. Every year we're going to do it once where we'll have some technical issues, but we're learning. But yes, thank you so much for getting us on the air. So welcome everyone to the Zenith Fellowship info session with SEDS-Canada. If you were at the info session yesterday, I'm just going to go over a few of the same kind of background about the program before getting into the panel. But yeah, it'll be a little bit different just to give you some more insight into the selection process as well. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, we are the Zenith Canada Pathways Foundation, and we conduct the Zenith Fellowship annually. This was our past year, was our first year of the program, and we are now entering our second. And so we are in the process of accepting applications for the second round of this Canadian Space Fellowship. So what we do is provide opportunities for internships at Canadian space companies, mentorship with leaders in the space industry, both in Canada and abroad from Canadians. And we provide a community of support from other fellows within the program and alumni of our program. So basically, it's a way for Canadian students and recent graduates to get their foot in the door into this Canadian space sector and launch their careers. How we do this is by working with awesome host companies like the ones listed here. These are last year's organizations that we worked with for internships. So our fellows went to do 4-month internships at some of these companies across Canada. This year, we will hopefully see this number grow. And so in the next couple of weeks, keep an eye on our website and you'll see some more companies join. We are expecting to have most of these companies back again this year for internships. We also have some awesome mentors from across Canada and abroad, as I mentioned. So they're pretty amazing folks in leadership within their companies or organizations, or recent graduates as well, who are only a few years into their degrees. And so they have a very wide array of skill sets, from engineering to science to communications and experiences. So we've been able to match these people to our fellows and help them guide them on their way into their careers. We also provide the opportunity for our fellows to meet at our annual summit. So we just had it recently in August in Montreal, and all the fellows got together to meet and bond. They were able to network with some of our mentors and host organizations, as well as people from outside of the Zenith family. We had folks from CSA join us for a mixer, as well as from MDA and other organizations in the Montreal area. They also got to participate in some workshops and lectures or panels to participate in discussions to help them on their way into their career and their next steps after the fellowship. So it was really awesome. Some highlights were going to the CSA for a tour and hanging out with Jeremy Henson. And it was a lot of fun, and we're hoping to do it again next year with the new class, as well as some of the alumni. So if you're interested in applying, the eligibility is as follows, that you're a current undergraduate student at a university or college or an equivalent program, or you've recently graduated from a degree, undergraduate degree or equivalent, as of May of 2023. So if you're 3 years out as of May of 2023, or you're a current student as of May of 2023, that's the eligibility. We're also only currently open to Canadian citizens, permanent residents of Canada, or persons granted refugee status in Canada who are legally entitled to work. And this is due to export control regulations at our host organizations. We are not currently our international students are not currently eligible for the program, which is, unfortunate, but come volunteer with us. We're hoping to be able to provide different opportunities for international students in the future if we can. You also need to be available to work for a minimum of 4 months starting from May of next year. So join our Discord community where other applicants are kind of asking questions and chatting. And you can also ask us questions directly there rather than via email. So just a quick clarification on what a Zenith Fellow is. We have kind of 2 sections of this. To provide more opportunities for Canadians, we have extended the portion of the fellowship that includes mentorship, attending the summit, and the community aspect to anyone who makes it to the final round of selection for the program. So we have Zenith Fellow interns who intern at our host organizations, and Zenith Fellow mentees who do not intern at our host organizations but still participate in the program for the year. So basically, it's just because we're limited by the number of internships that we can provide, but we still want to provide as much opportunity to people as possible. So this is kind of how it works with the selection process, is that right now we're open for applications until October 5th. We'll have round 1 of selection, which will be reviewing the applications between October 5th to late October. Then we'll kind of down select from there, and then people in that round will be semifinalists, and they'll be invited for video interviews where they'll meet with some of us to chat and get to know them better. Then from there, we'll down select again for round 3, which will be host company interviews. So anyone who makes it to round 3, that's when we have the Zenith Fellows kind of selected. From there, based on how the host company interviews go, whoever is selected for a position at a company for the summer will be Zenith Fellow interns, and anyone else will be Zenith Fellow mentees. And then we'll kind of proceed that way. So then early next year, we plan to announce fellows and then start work placements in the summer. So it is a bit of a long process. So we do encourage people to continue to look for co-ops in the meantime. But you should know through this whole process whether you've been selected at the latest early January is what we're approximated. So that's pretty much all. Just a reminder to submit your questions for the panelists at Slido using hashtag Zenith SEDS and apply by October 5th. So I'll pass it off to Marieke.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hera, for a great introduction to the Zenith Fellowship program. I'm so excited to be here to moderate the session again this year. So my name is Marieke Decourt. I'm the VP External for SEDS-Canada. And I'm joined here by a wonderful panel of Zenith mentees and fellows from this past year who are going to tell you all about their experience this evening. So let's just get right into it. So let's start by just maybe introducing yourselves and telling us, where you worked or about your experience in the Zenith program. Vanessa, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Marika. Hi, everybody. I'm Vanessa Van Decker. I am an inaugural year Zenith Fellow, so I'm here to welcome you to the program, encourage you to apply, and tell you all about how great it was, because it really was. I had the opportunity to work at Mission Control this summer. I worked on lunar rovers, and space robotics is my passion, so every day at work was pretty great. I'm a mechanical engineering undergraduate student, and I also got to do some other stuff at Mission Control. I got to do some mission operations, some science research, and a little bit of business development.
Fantastic. I'll pass it off to Cece.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name's Hihi. I'm also an inaugural a fellow mentee. I'm in aerospace engineering. Through Zenith, I got the opportunity to work an internship at the Western Institute for Earth and Space Exploration. I worked on geophysics research. I ended up one of my cooler projects was tagging and categorizing photos taken from the International Space Station. It was really, really exciting. And I through Zenith as well, I also got to join the SEDS-Canada as well. I was introduced to it through Zenith as the events chair. So highly recommend the program, and I'm excited to be here talking about it with y'all.
Thanks so much, Cece. Why don't we go to Paula?
Hello, my name is Paula Bosca. I'm a recent graduate in the physics, integrated science and physics program at McMaster University. I also interned at the Institute of Earth and Space Exploration, also known as Western Space, at Western University. It was honestly tons of fun. I got to meet a lot of really, really cool people. And frankly, one of the best things about Zenith, in my opinion, is just truly the freaking awesome community of people that you get to meet, and just like-minded individuals. So it was really, really quite a highlight. And like the summit at the end of the year was at the end of the summer was just so well done. A lot of fun. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Great. And last but certainly not least, Manal.
Hi. So sorry about if my face is highlighting different colors. I'm sitting in front of a huge screen right now at my university. But hi, I'm Manal. I am also a Zenith Fellow intern. I interned at Skywatch this past summer, and I cannot even begin to explain the amount of fun I had just being a part of Zenith itself. Like, there's just so many things I could just talk about. But I would definitely agree with Paula on how it was just so fun to be meeting such amazing people, all the mentees, all the mentors, the volunteers. Also, a bit of background for myself. I am studying computer science at Carleton, and then I actually was not in like aerospace or in the space industry before I actually interned with as a developer in a space sector. Like yeah, so I was a platform engineer at Skywatch, and I worked on the backend team. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. And also, I think there's one more fellow intern who's Jag.
My apologies. My view is cut off on my screen. Please go ahead, Jagriti.
All right, thank you. So hello, everybody. I am Jagriti, and when I applied to the fellowship, I was a second-year mechanical engineering student at the University of New Brunswick, and I was an intern at Wyvern. I worked as a satellite systems engineering intern, and it was my first ever internship, but at a company. I worked as a research assistant before that. And it was a wonderful summer filled with a lot of learnings. I think Wyvern is a very unique company when it comes to its leadership, because 4 out of the 6 people at sea level are actually women, which is very rare in this field. And I felt that throughout my experience as well. And besides the internship, I am quite involved within the space industry. I do like personal projects. I started a weather balloon project at my university, and I'm also very involved with the aerospace sectors in Nepal. And recently I became like the advisor for SEDS Nepal as well. And me and Vanessa over here, we're trying to do an event soon to combine the aerospace sectors for the 2 countries, which is very exciting. So I'm very happy to answer any questions about the internship, the company, how to kind of make your application more impact driven, which Zenith is about, and anything else you might have. So very happy to be here and excited for the journey.
And the webinar that Jagriti mentioned is on September 24th and will be on this channel, and it's free. So hopefully you all come out and get to hear some awesome space professionals.
Super cool. Thanks. I'm glad you guys plugged that. That's awesome. Yeah, so let's enter into the panel discussion section of the webinar. And For those who are tuning in, please feel free to join us on Slido and enter your questions. You can do so using hashtag Zenith SEDS, that's capital SEDS. But for now, I'll get us started and just open up the floor and ask, or just say, tell us about your thought process and how you went about preparing your fellowship applications. To whoever wants to start.
I guess I can go. I think mine may be a little different from everyone else's because I made the decision to apply literally the night before. And I fully was just not even gonna, I don't know. I think the biggest message that you could take away from me being an intern is that just do it and just take a shot, because I literally just never actually expected to land this, because one, I wasn't directly in space or anything like that. So this really shows that you just show a little bit of passion towards space, and that can go such a long way. I actually literally stayed up till 5 a.m. trying to do which I don't recommend. First of all, don't do that. But for my multimedia essay, I had done a video that I ended up staying up till 5 a.m. trying to submit. But I'll go to say that if you're thinking and then you're thinking about applying, but you don't know, just do it, because yeah, the doors it's open for me is just crazy.
Is it all right if I go next, or?
Please, the floor is open. We want to hear from
Okay.
everyone.
Sure, sounds good. Well, I guess I can step in and talk about kind of the flip side. My application, I took about, I think, a week or two, kind of just poking away at it essentially, and it was something I took. It's a very long application process, and it took a great deal of care trying to highlight past extracurricular experiences and accomplishments, but more importantly, I think for the application process itself, if you're applying, try to highlight just your passion for space, where it comes from, and what you want to do, essentially. Especially for the multimedia portion of the application, which is my favorite. It's a really great opportunity to showcase your creativity or your storytelling or whatever it is that you want to do. If you can get some help with the process by having someone proofread all your things or look at your multimedia before you submit, I recommend using everything that you can find, and yeah, just giving it your best shot.
That's fantastic. I love how we've had answers kind of from both sides of the spectrum. So clearly there's like many ways we can go about doing this application, and like there's no right or wrong way. It's just like about really putting your personal spin on it. What about just quickly, each of you, just one piece of advice that you could give to applicants going through the application and interview process?
I think my piece of advice is to be brave, be vulnerable, really self-reflect, think about what are the hard things in your life that you've had to overcome, what makes you unique, what are some things that you maybe struggled with, but you made it to the other side, and why has that made you stronger? Or why exactly do you love space, and where do you think you have the unique skills to contribute? Because we all have really different perspectives to offer, and they're all so important. So dig deep, be brave, be vulnerable, and lay yourself out, and don't just stay on the surface level. That's my advice.
I can go next.
Please.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I just want to touch on the last question just a little bit before I answer about the advice. But I think when it comes to this application, there's like two parts to this. I almost wrote a blog post on this, but I might still write one on my website. But I think there's two parts to it. So I think the first part is actually doing the right things. And I don't think you should do things just for the fellowship, but I think first you just have to be the type of person that just does things, explores their capabilities and stuff. But then when the application opens, it's about how do you present what you've already done in a way that's really compelling, and also like telling a story, like who are you as a person. And if you keep those two things in mind, I would still recommend people that haven't done seemingly the right things to still apply, because it's such a learning experience either way. But I think it is a very competitive fellowship also, so just keeping that in mind as well. But for my advice, I would definitely say be fiercely yourself. I think the fact that this is a competitive fellowship is that it is competitive, and the way to think about competition is not how do I be better than others, but the question you're trying to answer is how do I be more like myself through this application. So that's the way you cope with competition. You become more like yourself because nobody can compete with you at being you. So that's your biggest strength, and you need to use that to your biggest advantage.
So some very wise words. I think we can apply those. Yeah. I think we can apply those words, you know, in all facets of life. Paula, I did see you unmute. Please go ahead.
Yes, actually, Jagriti, I was going to say the exact same thing. Be yourself. Like, I think especially like as a student applying for a lot of stuff, and even on resumes, I think we really try to, you can try to like fluff things up and make them, you always want to show and like present your best self. But I think sometimes we can try and tailor things to applications, which is absolutely like, you're applying for a thing, like highlight your relevant experience. But like Jagriti said, just like be yourself. Like it will come across, especially in like the multimedia essays. This is your opportunity to really just like show that you are passionate, show that you do care really deeply, show that you have, like, everyone has something that other people don't. Like, it's just like we're all unique. And so that will come across when you start being just unapologetically yourself. And yeah, so it's just like Jagriti said, it's not about like, how do I be better than everybody else? It's that like, if like when you are yourself, the things that you are best suited for will happen. Like they just like, if it's meant for you and you are meant for it, like that will happen. And so by being unapologetically yourself, that's just how you're going to get there, how you're going to find the best opportunities for you, because you're going to excel the most at the things that you enjoy and that are meant for you. And so that's the only way you're going to get there, is by showing people your authentic self. So just truly, just don't be afraid. Just be.
Don't be afraid. Just be. I like it. I love it. Any last comments before my concluding question? Before we get to the audience answers or questions?
I'm just going to say one thing. So I think I am the population of the fellows that might have not, I think I already said this, but I wasn't too much into space before. And so as part of the application, one is the written one and one is the multimedia, obviously. So I think what I had done was that I really showed, for the written part, I showed what really interested me in space and what I would be so compelled to work on, because I didn't have a background working with something in space, or not very many like projects with it. And then in the multimedia, I focused on showing myself. And I wouldn't really say I showed anything really related to space. I just showed all of the things that I've been in, and all the things that I've been interested in that may not have been space, but how I can use that and like kind of I have that drive to be in the space industry. So yeah.
And I just want to say, don't get intimidated. It is competitive, but you are also uniquely special. So don't self-reject yourself. Even if you're not sure if you have done the right things, still apply, because you might just get it. And like Hera mentioned, you don't have to be hired by a company in order to get all of the benefits. You can also be a Zenith mentee and have an amazing mentor and go to the summit. So it's such a good opportunity. Don't count yourself out.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to say as well. Like, it genuinely is, the program is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it really is like a straight shot right into like the heart of the Canadian space sector. And even without the internship, even if it's just just the community, just everything that's there is quite amazing. And even though it is a longer application process, yeah, stick through it and do your best. So
very wise words from everyone. I'm loving what we're hearing so far. Just in the interest of time, I do want to get to the audience questions. So just super quickly, in a couple words, what is your main takeaway from being in the Zenith program?
I can go first. For me, it would be that you belong here.
Love it. Vanessa?
There's so much out there in Canadian space industry that you don't even know about.
Awesome. Paula?
You can do it. Like, you are capable and you can do it.
Cece?
the community in the Canadian space sector is small, but it's filled with some of the most amazing folks you'll ever meet.
Awesome. And Manal?
Just to take a shot, and maybe you'll just end up with a bunch of friends that want to be astronauts.
Yeah, if anything, like, you meet really cool, awesome people doing really awesome stuff. So great takeaways, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's get into the audience question portion. So I'm on the Slido. Again, for anyone who's joined us a little bit later, please join our Slido. You can do so using hashtag Zenith SEDS, capital SEDS. Okay, so starting here, someone has asked for advice on making your application stand out. I think we touched on it a little bit, you know, showing how you're unique, you know, putting your own personal spin on your application. Are there any other pieces of advice that you could offer to that question?
Play to your strengths. Like, if you are great at coding and you know how to make a really amazing website, make a website. If you're an amazing painter, make a painting. Be as different as you can be, because I think it's so cool to see how creative everybody is.
I love Vanessa's answer of like playing to your strengths, but I would also like to say like play to your weakness, but in like a way that's like make your weakness the very thing that makes you stand out also. So like she said, like how do you be vulnerable? You cannot be vulnerable at things you're already good at. So if you actually lack something, but then you have a perspective on how to fill that lack, like people are looking for unique perspectives. And like I think that's like things that we're not maybe the best at in life sometimes give us the best perspective. So I think I would literally tell you to like sit down and like journal and self-reflect and understand yourself better. And also to do things that stand out, not just do things in the application, but just outside the application, do things that stand out, even if you weren't going to apply to this fellowship. Just be an interesting person and people will just come to you. You'll just attract people instead of you chasing opportunities.
Awesome. Any final comments, or I think we're okay. We're good to move to the next question. So keeping along the same theme of like the application process, someone's asked here, what do you feel helped most for the application being chosen, either having relevant work experience or the things that you've done outside of your work experience, like things like programs and clubs?
I can start if that's okay. Well, I think for me personally, by the time I applied, I didn't have any work experience. So I think, yeah, definitely for whatever school you're going to, look into all the clubs available and just shoot your shot. I guess one thing that I kind of do is that from the start of the term, which I guess would be right now, I sort of throw myself into kind of everything, all the clubs available, and just see which ones are good to stick with, which ones do I think I could benefit the most from, and which ones can I learn from and give me transferable skills to work to put towards the application or towards anything else that you apply to. So
Great points. Did anyone else want to jump in?
I think for me, it was also really extracurricular based. I'd done a little bit of work like Jagriti on research assistant for cardiac catheter robotics, but I'd had done 3 years of work on my university's Mars rover team and worked my way up from a mechanical member to a mechanical chassis lead and then the science team captain. And that was super relevant to the lunar rover work I've done. But also I'd done a ton of volunteering at SEDS-Canada. So I was the events chair last year and I'm the president this year. So I kind of had both the space volunteering side and then also the technical mechanical volunteering side. That made me a really natural fit for the role I took on at Mission Control because I'd already done the work I was going to do, but at an amateur level. So it was taking everything up to the professional level, but I kind of had a basis there to work off of.
Awesome. So kind of in the, I think the last question that I'm seeing here about the application process is, what was the process like after you applied? Like what were the additional interviews and anything else related to the application process once you'd actually submitted the application?
I can go for this one. So right after we got the semifinalists, I think that was like right after, right guys? So when we got that email, oh my God, I was so ecstatic. It's crazy. But that's when we met with Hira, and I think she was the main one doing the interviews. And sorry, there's a bug. Yeah, like it was mainly trying to get to know you as a person and kind of trying to make that connection and just seeing how you were. And for that, I would definitely say like you can't really fake anything because it's just seeing who you are, and you're just again trying to show your best self and just trying to show that you have that passion. And I'll be so annoying and just repeat it, that you do not have to have such a strong space background. Even just a little bit of interest just goes such a long way, and just showing that will just help you through it. And then after the semifinalist round, you get to the final round, but that's when you are your portfolio sent to a bunch of companies and they see if they can if they want to interview you. And then once you get those interviews and interviews, you get to see if you kind of rank who you liked in order of your interviews, and they kind of do the same thing, and it works as a matching process. So it's scary but exciting.
Great. Did anyone else? Yeah, Cece.
I had something. So after the application process, I guess one thing I can say to keep in mind if you do get kind of selected and you're part of the community, even again, I wasn't selected for an internship from any of the host organizations initially, but being a part of the community itself there are lots of highlights of opportunities that are available to you, because I actually did get interviewed by Western Space for one position and I didn't get that one, but then someone in the community posted that there were some more opportunities there. So I applied and I said, and I also mentioned, hey, I was referred to this internship from the Zenith Pathways Fellowship, and that alone kind of helped out. And so it's like, even if you don't get selected for the internship, it's okay. There are plenty of opportunities still in the program to get work experience regardless.
Thanks so much for highlighting that. Sorry, go ahead.
I just have one last comment. I think the way you can think about this is like the semi-finalist interview is to become a fellow, and the finalist interview is to become an intern. So even in your application, you need to think about what qualities, what experiences would make me a good fellow, but then you can think of what qualities would make me a good intern. So that's more technical things you've actually done in space or transferable skills. but for the fellow, it's like what meaningful experiences you have, like your stories, who you are. And so I think thinking about it in that way can help you in your application.
Also, shout out to the people at Wyvern that you worked with, Jagriti. I had some really awesome job interviews that weren't the jobs that I ended up going with, but I got mentored during those job interviews. I asked some questions and they had just really kind and thoughtful advice. So not only is this an opportunity to get a really cool job in space, but it's also an opportunity to meet really amazing people in the space industry. So even if you don't get the jobs that you're interviewing for, just the opportunity to spend an hour talking to these people who are really amazing and doing amazing things is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. So Manal, I think Manal has to pop off. She's got a soccer game. So good luck. Have fun. We've got multi-talented fellows here. Love to see it.
Thank you. And for anyone watching, if you guys have any questions, just like feel free to reach out to us or anybody here. So yeah, thanks guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Manal. See you later.
See you later.
Awesome. Okay, so moving right along here, I like this question here. You know, this person has said, you've mentioned all of the cool stuff that you've gotten to work on and do since being in the Zenith program, but is there any advice that you'd offer your past self when you first applied or joined the program?
I think I might have one. I think one thing that kind of helps that I would recommend, I guess, to the next Zenith, the next group of Zenith fellows is, I guess, as soon as you're in that server, in that community, take the opportunity to talk to your peers and get to know everyone. Because I think we found this year, starting out, it took a bit to get the ball rolling, but once we got to the summit, that's when we all kind of realized, oh, holy cow, these folks are awesome to hang out with. But and it's still great to still be a part of that community. But that's something I recommend. Take the initiative, introduce yourself on the Discord, you know, and just get chatting right away. So.
Yeah, it's really such a fantastic opportunity to network, you know, outside of Zenith, but certainly within Zenith as well. Like, this is where your fellow peers are, you know, doing similar things, like-minded individuals who are all, again, just like doing so many amazing things. So like networking early within the circle is super important as well. Did anyone else have any advice for their past selves? I feel like we've touched on it a bit. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it's like sometimes the application process can feel a bit too much because you have to ask for recommendation letters. And I know this year there's been some changes, but like when you're in the grind, just like remember, like this is a future investment, right? It's like right now you get all these benefits, but these benefits just multiply as the years pass by because you're actually in a group of future leaders. And so right now you get to meet with present leaders, but now you're in a group, if you get it, you will be in a group with future leaders. And this might be the very reason that you might get sad if you don't actually get the fellowship, but I think that's another reason to apply next year because multiple people, like this fellowship is based off of the Brooke Owens Fellowship, which is a US based fellowship, and that has just expanded so much and it will happen every single year. And so if you don't make it this year, take it as an opportunity to self-reflect and think of where you could develop yourself. And it's such a good checkpoint to analyze your progress and just keep remembering, like, you will be in a group of people that will lead the industry in the future and it's worth the grind.
Absolutely. So whatever happens, it's like all just about how you spin it and how you move forward. I love that. Awesome. All right. Let's see what else we've got going on here. So someone has has a question about that's saying that they're having trouble figuring out what format to use for their multimedia essay, and they're asking what all of you used for your multimedia essay.
I can go first because it kind of ties into the last question too. So this was actually one of the big things where I was like, I'd known about the application really early, and I kind of just like let it sit in my mind. Which frankly, if you're at this live stream, you already caught it early. So let it sit in your mind for a bit and think about like, what is it that you want from this? Why do you want this? Like do some self-reflection. And frankly, like I did that. I remember it was actually, I learned about it very early and then I kind of let it sit for a while. And I remember laying on my floor like about a week before it was due. And I was like, I need to really like figure this out. And so I sat and I thought, and I was like, well, like personally, I'm not very good at like selling myself on paper sometimes. Like I don't know how to word things too well. Like I get a lot of help and I ask for resources, but I know that I personally like to think that if like on a one-on-one when I can articulate myself to you face to face and you can see my expressions and you can see how passionate I am, it comes across. And so my multimedia essay was just a video of me talking and explaining why I love space, how it makes me feel, and how like my connection to and what I envision and all of that. Because to me, it was like, well, I think I'm pretty articulate and passionate when I speak, and then I use that to my advantage. I'm not the most creative person, so I'm not the best at building websites or being like really like visually artistic or things like that. So those weren't my strong suits. But I just tried to be myself, laid my heart out, did a little video of being like, this is who I am. It worked. So yeah, just it goes back to really being yourself and thinking about who you are and like the way that you like and want to express yourself.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, go. You can go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I agree with you, Paul. I think about like what ways can you best articulate your message, and then also I thought about what message do I want to get across, and I'd done a lot of work with my robotics team, so I had a bunch of footage of me working on the rover. And I also had a bunch of footage from a YouTube series I did, which you can watch on YouTube if you want to, called Representation in Robotics, where I interviewed diverse professionals in the robotics industry, including Kristen Facciol, who is operates Canadarm on the space station, and Dr. Tanya Harrison, who has worked on Curiosity and Perseverance. So that kind of showed my past work, and those were already in video format. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go with this. And then I went on to talk about rock climbing and whitewater kayaking and my life story that got me to this point. So it was a kind of like a video collage. So it was both my communication strengths, but also the message determined the medium in a way.
I think for me, it was like, how can I best bring my whole self to the application? And so I also did a video format, but mine was kind of like funny also in a way. So I was like trying to present to the fellowship my whole self. This is why the fellowship is kind of unique in that they're like picking good people, not just interns in terms of what you can do, but they're picking who you are. And so I was like, okay, I do poetry, and then I was like, I do debates, and then I'm like this, but then I changed my costumes with every single slide, and then it was like a funny thing. But I wasn't like trying to be somebody else. So like the thing I had in my mind was, how can I bring my whole self to this application? And also something else is that the fellowship actually wants to accept you. It's like you need to think of this in a positive light in terms of they want you, but you have to tell them why they should take you. So like they're already in an affirmative with you. It's not like they're like, oh, why should we pick you type of thing. It's like, we want you, tell us why we should. And so your narrative and your story needs to be compelling enough to the fellowship application board in terms of why they should pick you, but in like a welcoming way. So I think keeping a positive mindset and trying to bring your whole self to the table is how I thought about the multimedia.
Awesome. Cece, did you want to hop in?
Yeah, sure. Pretty much great points all around. Yeah. For my personal multimedia as well, kind of again, I kind of wanted to highlight sort of my my kind of storytelling ability. So I get mine wasn't it wasn't even a video, it was a PowerPoint. I just sent a PowerPoint slideshow with some pictures of a trek I did a while back where I did 100,000 steps over 18 hours from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. And it was just like it was just the story of like, you know, divided into different parts and also just what I learned from from doing that from that process. So like if you have something from your past that's really kind of affected you, shaped your character, whether it's an experience like that, or if it's an ongoing long project or anything at all, like really something that highlights who you are and how you've gotten to where you are now, that's that'll be great for you for the application.
That is so cool, Cece. What an amazing experience. And basically what I'm hearing is that, you know, kind of anything goes. Like it can be anything from a video to almost a short play, like degrees, or like, you know, a PowerPoint presentation. Like the barrier to entry here, it doesn't have to be like some like multi-million-dollar production. Like we're not looking for an Oscar-winning performance, right? It's just about like bringing yourself to the table. And again, like highlighting what makes you unique, and it's all about how you spin it. So that's really cool to hear how all of you did it. So this is an interesting question. I already know that there's someone on our panel that this relates to, but someone's asking if anyone had to relocate for their work over the summer. And I guess I'd like to add, like, how was that? Like, tell us about your experience. Vanessa, I know this applies to you.
Yes, I can jump in. So I moved to Ottawa for the summer, and I usually live in Toronto. So that was an interesting experience, finding an apartment to sublet that is also really fun. I loved getting to be on site in the office, because if you don't know about Mission Control, they have a huge moon yard that literally looks like the surface of the moon, with craters and rocks and sand, and very fun place to work. It's like an adult sandbox to work in on the rover. So loved being on site and exploring a new city and getting to know my coworkers. And, you know, so I think don't be afraid of relocating. There's a lot to gain from it. Yeah, it's hard. You're away from maybe family or friends, but it's really awesome too, because you have this new community that you're going to immerse yourself in at work.
I also relocated from Eastern Canada to Western Canada, so all the way across the country. And that was one of the like most exciting parts for me about this internships, because one of my goals for the beginning of the year last year was to travel more, and this fellowship just gave me everything basically. And then so I moved to Edmonton, Alberta, and it was a really, really huge learning experience, not just in my career, but in my personal life in general. I lived alone for the first time. Also, the whole seeking apartment thing, becoming an adult, all these things were really fun. I also loved exploring a new city, getting to make new friends in a new city, and also learning a lot about myself and how I deal with things. I think after the summer, I've become much more of a stronger person than I was before, much more self-sufficient and self-reliant. And so I think this fellowship also gives us an opportunity to develop more and mature more as young adults trying to do career things.
That's fantastic. I think that's a really cool aspect of this fellowship as well, like the possibility that you could relocate. That just kind of adds to the experience as well. Is there anyone else that applies to, or am I good to?
I did. Sorry. I did also relocate. I kind of graduated from McMaster in Hamilton, and then the summer after graduation this past summer, I moved to London, Ontario. to Western and lived there for a bit. The aspect of relocation it can be scary and stressful and a lot, but kind of like everything else, it is always your perspective on it. And so I love exploring new cities. I love meeting new people. And so I did have a really good time. Even if the city's like, not the most incredible city in the world, or maybe it's not exactly your vibe. There's still like a lot of really cool people to meet. And frankly, I love being in the office. I did a lot of work that could definitely have been remote, but the relationships that I developed with my colleagues were just really one of the best parts of the summer. And just getting to know them on like a really personal level was a lot of fun. So definitely don't be afraid to relocate, and don't be afraid to state if that's a barrier, because a lot of the times if a job is like, maybe you get to the final bit and they're like, we'd love to have you, please relocate, and you're like, I don't know if that's feasible for me. Like there's ways that you can figure it out. And like they'll oftentimes try and help in some ways or another. So yeah, try if you can, if that's something that you're interested in, and would want to do. And if not, if that's totally not your vibe, also state that. Again, it's all just like being honest and being yourself in the process.
I just want to come in here and say, well, I didn't relocate. I was remote, but I want to give a shout out to that because my internship with Western was entirely remote. It was right here in this room. But it's still, even if you do work kind of a remote internship, it's still a great opportunity. I can say the stuff that I worked on through the remote desktop connection was still super exciting. Gave me a lot of skills and software, and it taught me a lot. And yeah, I think it's just as valuable, in my opinion, whether it's remote or in person. Whatever experience is experience, and it's all exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing in your perspective as well, Cece. That's great. So switching gears a little bit, someone's really interested to hear about the interview process with your host organizations, and they're asking if it was very technical.
Mine varied widely. I had one that was much more focused on me and my experience. I had one that was more like a technical test. And then I had some that were a mix between the two. It really was enlightening in the interviews because you send them so much material on yourself. They know a lot about you, which is kind of great. So one of my interviews, I thought that's where I want to work. And they actually didn't really understand me. They had a job that was a great job, but it's not the right job for me. When I interviewed at Mission Control, they made up a job for me. They said, wow, you have these skills. We need these skills. We can carve out this role for you that's like designed around you, basically. And that was such a cool opportunity. And that's the kind of opportunity you don't get a lot. So this fellowship is a great way to get it. So that's what I'd say is they're interviewing you, but you're also seeing if the job is a right fit for you as well.
That's really cool. Did anyone else want to hop in and talk about their interview process?
I think one of my interviews was very, very technical. So it was like 1 hour and something long, and by the end of it, I was very tired. And also, like, again, like Vanessa said, it's a great opportunity for you to realize what you want, because this isn't just the companies trying to see who they want. So you're also in an empowered place in this fellowship where you are also picking or choosing them, because if you're a finalist, they also want amazing people for their companies. So you, like, I think approaching it in a very like, okay, we're both great here. The company's great, the people are great. So let's see where the best fit is, instead of trying to impress all the people. That's not the goal here. It's just you're trying to find a place for the summer where you will do your best and be your best. And that could be through the culture of the company, very, very important. On a side note, at Wyvern, I was actually the CFO, which stands for Chief Fun Officer. So I just created a bunch of fun activities for the company, and they really appreciated that. And so really like expressing yourself in culture of the company as well is really important, because that's how you know you'll enjoy the people you'll be working with. And so the other interview I had was very like, they really cared about me as a person. So like Vanessa said, very varied, but that's for you to like think about what you want as well. And so you can write that when you're giving your submission for your top choices. So I think you should keep that in mind, just as the companies are.
Yeah, that's a really unique position to be in, actually. Like, I loved how you phrased it, being in a place of empowerment, like in this interview process. Like, you have a little bit of a say as well, you know, like you're already top candidate. So it's like, okay, like, what do I want too? Like, that's a really interesting position to be in. Paula and Cece, did you have anything to add? Or am I good to? Cool. All right, great answers all around. So kind of in the vein of like thinking about what you want, you know, there's this question here asking like, what do you believe that your calling was to this space fellowship program? And they're also asking, has anything changed for you after your internships? It's a deep question. You might have to think on it.
I might. So it's what was your calling and how did it change after the internships?
Yeah, I guess how I'm interpreting it is like what drew you to apply, and then asking like if anything changed in general for you after your internship.
Well, actually, I think I could have an answer for this. So essentially, around the time I was applying, actually, funny enough, I was in aerospace engineering, and well, I still am, but I was having a lot of trouble with the courses, and so much so that I was actually kind of considering switching out of stuff because I wanted to get into space, but I couldn't really see much space from, you know, behind all the math that I'm doing in my courses. So when I did the Zenith whoops sorry about that. So when I did Zenith, and I actually got firsthand experience in the space industry and seeing everything that has available. It completely, you know, changed my perspective and as well as my energy and my motivation towards my program. So it really helped a lot. Also, on top of that, the internship I got was much different than very, very detached from what I'm working on in school with aerospace engineering. So because my internship was more geography, geophysics based, which is a bit of a reach compared to what I'm studying, but it also kind of that reaching out to something entirely different helped kind of shape where I want to go as well. Because now I'm pursuing a geography minor because it really sparked my interest in GIS and remote sensing and stuff because there are crossovers in my program and other things. So yeah, I would say Zenith was very much changed my perspective on a lot of things with space.
That is really cool.
Yeah. I actually really like this question. I love how they phrased it as like a calling thing. I think for me, like I've always been very interested in space. I don't know where that comes from, so we can dig in deep about that some other time. But I think for the fellowship, I'm like the type of person that I don't like ask for permission to do space. So that's why like in my first year, I just started my own project because my university doesn't have an aerospace sector at all. So I was just like, I'll just do my thing. And so I think this is also like a side advice. So you can just do things without like getting the fellowship also. You can just do things for fun because it's interesting, because it's exciting. But in terms of like, to answer the question, I think, did my calling change after the fellowship? I guess to answer that question, I would say no. What the fellowship did do for me was it amplified who I already was. So it just put like a magnifying glass to what I was already like interested in doing. So the fellowship has, after you become a fellow or a mentee, you do a community impact project. And so me and Vanessa, we decided to create Nepal and Canada aerospace sector speakers panel like program and stuff. And so through this fellowship, I feel like I went deeper into my calling instead of changing myself in terms of who I am as a person and why I was interested in space in the first place.
Awesome. Paula?
Yeah, so I agree. It's very much like a just do things because you want to do them. If you're like look for extracurriculars, they help a lot, just also in helping you figure out what you want to do. Like you can think of them like, okay, I want experiences, these kinds of experiences, to like pad my resume, which is you should be doing things because you want to do them, I think, like because you want and you enjoy them. And that can really help. And so to me, I just kind of sought out those opportunities. And so I guess like when the fellowship came around, it was one of those things. I was like, okay, like this is what I want to do. I think I want a job in aerospace, and I think this is a great way to like see if that's what I want to do. And like Jagriti said, I think it didn't really change. It didn't shift anything. It really did just amplify it. Like I think you asked a question earlier, like if you could do a big takeaway from the Zenith, it was just like you are capable. And so that was just I think the biggest thing that like this fellowship did was like show me that I am capable and that I do belong, and that, you know, like I knew that this is what I wanted to do, but it's kind of helped me feel more confident, and show me all of the potential opportunities and how like small the Canadian space community is and how like reachable it is, and at the same time the crazy diverse insane amount of opportunities and interdisciplinary stuff. And you're into this, but oh, maybe you're just like a little bit into policy or marketing or geography or these things that you don't necessarily automatically associate with space, but that you have an interest in, and you can bring those together. And so it was a lot of just like cementing a lot of those feelings and emotions and ideas. So really just a booster, just a fantastic little boost.
That was a really heartwarming response. I'm loving all of the themes that are coming from all of your answers. And I'm just so grateful that we could all get together tonight and hear from all of your great perspectives. So we are a little bit over time. So just to kind of start wrapping the evening up, it'd be great for you all to comment on, you know, how do you feel now about your career going forward? I'd also like to bring in the fact that you were paired with mentors in the program as well. Like, do you feel like your mentor like relationship helped you? Like, touch on that experience. However you want to kind of go about answering this question, I leave up to you guys. Just how you feel about your career going forward. If my question got lost.
Excited, I guess. Yeah, it's after finally kind of getting a first glimpse of the space sector in Canada through the program. I think again, I no longer want to switch out. I want to see more of it. I'm really excited to see kind of what's available to me. And as for the mentor thing, yeah, my mentor is terrific. We still talk a little bit, and yeah, that was beneficial as well, because they also have opportunities. My mentor also had opportunities to kind of highlight. But yeah, it's an amazing opportunity, and it'll change your life. So yeah, highly recommend it.
I definitely agree. The mentor aspect was awesome. I got paired with someone who is such an amazing person, and we vibed on such like insane levels, and she's definitely somebody that I hope to know for a very long time. It's a great way to network and get, you know, professional opportunities, but also someone to talk to about like, hey, I'm having these issues at work. How do I navigate this? It's really kind of a relationship that you define. which is just so cool and such a crazy opportunity, because it's somebody in this potential industry for you, and getting to know if this is right for you and what you should do about stuff, and maybe some advice, and potential opportunities. And I think it definitely has helped me, like I said, it's shown me all of the opportunities, not just for, like the classic structure, like mechanical engineer doing rockets. It's so much more than that. And there's so many different opportunities, and yeah, just so many different ways to approach space, and a lot of interdisciplinary stuff, which I personally love. So it's really helped show me potential futures and career paths, and connect me with people that I can reach out to for help kind of getting there and seeing where I want to go next, especially as a recent grad. So I think it's definitely helped my future career paths for using that.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like what Paul and Cece said. I think for me, I don't like planning too hard, but just like a little bit. So I think I'm very excited for the future to keep surprising me. So something I think this fellowship also does is increases your surface area for luck. So there's more ways for people to find you and just connect with you. And so I think like that really excites me, that I don't know, anything could happen at any point. There was a thing like this summer that I just got a chance to interview with the Canadian Space Agency, and they did like a story on me, and never in a million years would I've ever expected for something like that to happen. So I think it increases your surface area for serendipitous things to happen and luck to happen. Also the friendships, I think I will cherish them for the rest of my life. I made some really deep, long lasting friendships, and we, even in the summit, we had a running joke that we're all going to start a company, and that's a great breeding ground for co-founders, or just to like empower any decision you try to make. If you want to try to find a job, if you want to do a project, if you want to start a company, that's a bit extreme, but we could do it if we really wanted to. But to answer the mentor question, I think not just in this fellowship, throughout my life, I've always known the importance of mentorship. And it doesn't have to, like, you don't have to have one mentor to mentor your entire life. You can have people that mentor your specific different aspects of your life. And also sometimes it's natural for mentor-mentee relationships to naturally fall out. And that's fine. Like, you don't have to feel guilty about that. And I had a really great mentor in my job, actually. Her name is Christine Tove, and she taught me so much about the art of negotiation. She was actually the CTO of all of Airbus in North America, and she had so many insights on how to deal with top level contractors, and I just kept asking her questions. And so I think really understanding that you can be natural with the relationship, and also the fact that all the people you see on the website, all of them are accessible to you. It doesn't mean that if you're matched with one mentor, it's just that one you're stuck with. Anything you need in your like career or whatever, you can just see people that would be applicable to that next decision, and you can just contact them. And the fact that you're a fellow, you're automatically in that category of, okay, this is a great person contacting me. So yeah, I think friendship, surprises, and all the access to the mentors.
That's fantastic. I think with that, we should conclude our evening here. I think the general consensus is that the Zenith Fellowship is such a fantastic opportunity. So thank you so much to Hera for facilitating this. You and your team are doing such a great job, and I'm really excited for the next class of fellows to come through. Thank you so much to our panelists, including Vanessa and Manal, who had to sign off a little bit earlier. It was so fantastic hearing all of your insights and perspectives into your experiences. I hope it's helped everyone who tuned in tonight on the live stream. And we all encourage you to send in your applications, apply, so that you can also be a part of this fantastic program. So with that, let's conclude tonight. Thanks to everyone who attended, and good luck with your applications.
Yeah. Before you close the live stream,
yeah,
thank you, Marike, for awesome moderation of this, and thank you so much to SEDS-Canada for being a strategic partner with Zenith and helping us over the past year and the year before we even did this thing. So yeah, go join SEDS-Canada as well. You know, they're a great community. And yeah, apply before October 5th. Email us if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye.